From Tyler Toney giving me a high five to Todd Bowles stealing my Sharpie. Yes, he actually stole my Sharpie. Alright, let's start our amazing weekend at the Dude Perfect Squad Games Tour in Tampa. In case you don't already know, Dude Perfect is one of the biggest YouTube channels of all time, making comedy and sports content and mainly doing competitions, which is the entire idea behind the Squad Games Tour. The main idea is the 5 dudes competing against different squads, whether it's athletes, celebrities, or other YouTubers. And we were actually very fortunate because YouTubers like Zach King, Preston Goes, Fat Stafford, and Insane Shane, and of course Mark Rober were there. And here's the dude's dramatic entrance.
And your whole team, ladies and gentlemen, get loud for Dude Perfect!
Now unfortunately I had to cut out a lot of what happened, mostly because what I had to work with was over an hour long, but I'll try my best to walk you through exactly what happened. Now the only thing that the dudes didn't dominate at was slingshot basketball, where they lost 43-0. Oh yeah, and there was also a panda dance party. Then this group called the Dunking Devils did an incredible job keeping the audience entertained, even when the dudes were taking a break. Alright, so one of the competitions that night was a dunk tank battle. Now, luckily for the opponents, they didn't have to actually fall into water, it was just an empty tank. And like I said earlier, they did great at everything except the basketball slingshot battle. So then the Creator Squad lost 0-5, giving DP another win. So as of now, Dude Perfect is winning 3-1 out of all the challenges. We were actually seated in a really good spot, so we got to see Garrett up close, and we got some really good footage. Check it out. Alright, so then the next challenge was go-kart soccer, which was by far my favorite. The dudes were scoring like it wasn't even a problem. One after another, the goals started adding up. First 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then even 5-0 before halftime. Then Cody Jones suggested that they would give the Creator Squad 10 points and see if the dudes could come back in the second half. And soon enough, the dudes were catching up to the point where they only needed 1 point to tie. During this challenge, Cody Jones and Tyler Toney were going crazy with points. So there was only 1 minute and 15 seconds left, and the Creator Squad, technically speaking, hadn't scored a single point. And with 30 seconds left on the clock, Dude Perfect sealed the game. So Dude Perfect had won it. They already had the trophy in their hands and they were already celebrating. But then the fans wanted more, pushing it for a 7th game where the title was on the line. Everything came down to this one last game.
Would have to put the trophy back up for grabs. Yes, you'd have to hand the trophy back over, and you'd have to risk it for Game 7. Y'all have a moment to decide, dudes. By all means, group up. Tampa, do you still want to play Game 7?
So here we were, just a little bit later, neck and neck. Would it be Tyler Toney on the left, or would it be Zach King on the right? And with the balloon popped, the trophy went back to Dude Perfect. The entire arena was filled with cheers and applause. So then at the end of the show, Dude Perfect gave a beautiful speech, talking about from humble beginnings to where they are now.
The only other thing I'll add to that is, I can tell you that in 17 years, we've had our fair share of problems and issues and arguments just like anybody else. We're not just all super nice to each other and never fight, and that's how we've made it 17 years. I think if it was not for Jesus, there's no chance that we would be standing on this stage tonight doing a show in Tampa, Florida 17 years later after we started a business with 5 best buddies. And so just want to thank you guys, encourage you guys. Honestly, the 5 of us would tell you guys that while those things are great, none of those things in any amount, money, fame, followers, none of those things compare to the joy of knowing Jesus Christ as our personal Lord and Savior.
came. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope.
Thank you guys so much from the bottom of our hearts. It truly means the world to us that you guys would choose to spend your evening as a family out here with us. We feel like we've got the best fans in the entire world, and as long as you guys keep watching, we're going to keep making videos that you can enjoy together as a family. So thank you from all the dudes. Truly appreciate it.
All right, Tampa, we got one more sign off. I need it louder than the first one. Say it with us. Pound it, knock it, see ya! Guys, thank you!
Then we realized as we were about to leave that the dudes were circling around the arena giving out high fives. But unfortunately there were so many people that I couldn't stick my hand up far enough. But then on the last go around, I got a high five, and you'll never guess who it was from. Toney himself, and here is on replay. And even though it was very hard to see, that was definitely my favorite moment of the Squad Games tour. So then the following morning, we were ready to go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers training camp. And this is the first time I've been up close and personal with actual NFL players. The training was separated into different position groups, whether it was defensive linemen, quarterbacks, receivers, and more. So I actually tried walking up to the players while they were on the sidelines to see if I could get an autograph, but I couldn't. So typically the practices are outside, but it was raining so heavy that we were going inside, which I actually liked a lot more. And luckily the Buccaneers staff members handed out towels so that we could dry off. So something I actually didn't know is the Buccaneers training camp is right next to the Raymond James Stadium where they play their games at. Talk about convenient. Now it was really cool you got to move around while the players were doing drills so that we could get different angles and see different players. Yeah, so here's how it looked outside. It was very, very rainy. So then the offense and defense started doing a scrimmage, which was probably one of the coolest parts of the practice. So here were some of the cool highlights and plays that day. Yeah, so the cornerbacks, receivers, and tight ends all looked really good. Even Baker Mayfield's backup was performing well. Speaking of which, Baker Mayfield and even Vita Vea were actually there. But since Vita Vea was requesting a trade, he actually didn't have his helmet on. So then later we got a youth football to see who would sign it. Then we came across the COO of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he was our very first autograph. So later in the video we'll be able to see how many people actually signed the football and who. Much later we found the cutest dog of all time. I mean, this has to be one of the coolest experiences of my life. I mean, seeing NFL players that are just inches away from you is insane.
There you go.
So I thought I would show you some really cool photos taken by the Bucs photographers. if you look close enough, you can even see my parents in the background. Alright, so the time had finally come where we can get autographs. And that's when I saw Chris Godwin. And as if that wasn't cool enough, right next to him was Gerald McCoy, a retired Buccaneers legend. So then we saw Todd Bowles, head coach of the Buccaneers, and this is the moment you've been waiting for. Since he didn't have a Sharpie on him, I gave him one, and that was the biggest mistake. After he signed my football and even his own card, he accidentally stole my Sharpie from me. And honestly, I didn't know what to do since he was already taking a photo with these other people. But anyways, here's the autographed football card and the football itself. I'd say it was totally worth it. Alright, so here's some of the other players that signed the football along the way. Alright, so then when we left, this is how the football looks. We had 9 signatures in total. 6 current NFL players, 1 retired, 1 as a coach, and 1 as the COO. Alright, so our last event to close off this epic weekend is the Tampa Bay Rays game. Before the game starts, you get in a line that actually goes very fast in order to get a player to sign your baseball. And the player for this game was Alex Cook, one of the newest additions for the Rays this year. There's a lot to see inside of the Rays Stadium, from history to mascots to jugglers, and even a tank full of stingrays. Since it was still an hour till the first pitch, we were able to check out some of the cool history of the Tampa Bay Rays. From mitts to trophies to all sorts of cool relics and memorabilia, there was a lot to see. And of course, it rained again, but luckily Tropicana Field has a big dome over the top.
Boy, this has been a disaster of an inning for the Rays. Normally a team fundamentally very sound.
Kind of got deked by Benintendi and everybody's safe.
Yeah, the second best team in baseball wasn't really doing that well. Now, I've been to some Tampa Bay Rays games before, but I have never seen this before. A small vehicle shooting out t-shirts to the fans. As the game continued, it was sort of more of the same. Junior Caminero and Yandy Diaz were performing well, but it was far from enough to stop the White Sox.
Hits a one hopper to third. Vargas will get it to Mygroff. Relay in time. 5-4.
And I did feel a little bit better knowing that it wasn't even the biggest blowout in the last 2 months. Something else pretty cool is that the players will actually throw baseballs to the fans during timeouts or breaks, so just make sure you keep your eyes peeled.
The Sox blast 2 home runs here in the 9th inning. Another 2-run shot. It's down 9-0, pouring it on late.
But luckily, the Tampa Bay Rays came back and scored 1 more point. But nonetheless, we had an incredible time, and this made for the best weekend I've ever had. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!